page 106 to 108, you'll see behaviorism. B.F. Skinner, if you had 2010, that name should sound familiar. The Harvard experimental psychologist and philosopher, is a recognized leader of the movement known as behaviorism. But he's the one, if you remember, he trained animals to do certain things in a certain way at a certain time or whatever by giving them reinforcement. Behaviorism is a psychological theory and educational philosophy that holds that one behavior is demonstrated by environment, not heredity. He's saying that the outside world dictates our behavior rather than our heritage, what we've been raised under. This suggests that by carefully controlling the stimuli in the classroom, the teacher can significantly influence student behavior. I do believe we can do that. I do believe there's certain things we cannot change due to the raising and the influences in a child's life, but I do think that there are ways we can significantly change the behavior, that perhaps what they do at home is not what they do at school because of what we expect. Behaviorists believe that the school environment must be highly organized and the curriculum based on carefully developed behavioral objectives, and they hold that knowledge is best described as behaviors that are observable, so we ought to be able to see learning happening. There's nothing wrong with being highly organized. I think the more organized you can be, the better for the student, for you, for the student, for the parent, for the school. Everybody's happier with organization. The primary task of educators with the behaviorism type philosophy is to develop a learning environment that leads to desired behaviors in students. The concept of reinforcement is critical to teachers practicing in the behaviorism. The students have to have some kind of reward, and they function better for doing that. The behaviorist teacher endeavors to foster desired behaviors by using both positive reinforcements and negative reinforcements, and we talked about that in 2010. If you remember, in my class we watched a little clip from The Big Bang Theory where one of the guys was actually training the girlfriend. The theory is that behaviors that is not reinforced will eventually be extinguished. That is, it will cease to happen. So if I'm not reinforcing bad behavior, the philosophy says it won't happen anymore because I'm not reinforcing it. If you reinforce something, it causes it to happen over and over. To an extent, that is correct. In general, behaviorists contend that learning takes place when approved behavior is observed and then positively reinforced. And if you remember in 2010, you should have gotten the idea that positive reinforcement, we should be using positive reinforcement more often than negative, but negative reinforcement from time to time has a very important place in our classroom, in our family lives. If you're not overusing it, a few times when my 5th grade horns had to come out, the students had never seen that side. Even here, the 5th grade horns have come out a time or two. The students have never seen that side, and it has a huge impact. I hope that makes sense. So a teacher may provide nonverbal positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. Behaviorists contend that students tend to emulate the behaviors that are rewarded. So whatever we want them to do, that's what we should be rewarding. We should not be rewarding bad behavior. That makes all the world of sense. Behaviorists do not attempt to learn about the causes of students' earlier problems. I'm not going to run around the building and ask, what do you know about George? What can you tell me? What problems has he been in? What trouble has he been in? How many times has he been? I'm not running around doing that. Rather, the behaviorist teacher focuses on the here and now environment and must discern what is happening in the classroom to perpetuate or extinguish students' behavior. Now, that means the slate is clean, and we've talked about that. I've told you, anytime students come in my classroom, the slate is clean. Every student in there is an A student, and I won't think otherwise until you prove otherwise. That goes with the behavior end as well. I don't want to know what you've done in your past. It's amazing what 1 year can do as far as maturity and behavior issues happening in your classroom. Behaviorists don't tend to learn from the causes of students' earlier problems. We just talked about that. So, as you can see, there may be parts of that behaviorist that you could say, I can see me doing this, I can see me doing that. You'll have to determine which one of those. I can't agree with all of them, but I can agree with some of them.